Why do people go to cinemas? Is it because they want to get away from the pain of the real life, perhaps, or are they going there for having a higher experience? So, as a director, I have to decide it. Right? They can both be a prism of the director, right? And that is what we are striving to do with Mahavatar. So, no matter how much you technically want to, circumvent or bypass the system, dharma will take its own course and everything will come to balance. And dharma, of course, being represented by Lord Vishnu, here he takes the avatar of Lord Vishnu. What makes Prahlad a devotee, however, that in spite of being a 5-year-old with no power, and him, Hiranyakashipu, almost having an eternal power, the boon is almost transferred. The idea is to create a long cinematic universal journey which is going to be transcending the mediums.
Hello, welcome to Screen.
Thank you, Devansh.
So, at the trailer launch of Ma, this recent film that Kajol did, so the producer Ajay Devgan had said that why are we looking outward to build our own universes? We should be looking at our own mythology. Like America didn't have its mythology.
They had to create one.
Yeah. Which is why they built like a Marvel universe or other universes.
True.
So this vision of having a Mahavatar universe. What do you think about that? That were we not doing enough of this by drawing from our mythology? And what is the vision for this?
Yes, the mythology basically is a term that's basically a very Greek term that comes from the word mythos, which means mithya in Sanskrit. Now, mithya basically means concocted, right? And I do not feel in any which case that we have a concocted past. And I feel we have a very strong past and we must celebrate that past, which is Puranic tales of Bharat. And yes, our Puranic tales are very deep, very long, and they have a rooted ancestral history. And it's about time we access those and feel pride and build a universe around it for the future generations. So it is very apparent that it has not been done in the past in the way it could have been done, but it's about time also that we start doing it the way that it should be done.
Why do you think this is the right time to do it? Because we all know that there's a Ramayana, 2-part Ramayana in the making. Amir Khan has talked about planning a Mahabharata.
Yeah.
So and then there's this universe. So what do you think why is India ready to go back to its roots now?
Because it's never enough. You see, there have been so many outtakes and renditions of the same story in so many ways. But when you do it from the Shastra, when you do it authentically and keeping the spirit and keeping the divinity alive, then the idea is to resonate not just with the individuals, but on the soulful level. So that the message and the impression of the philosophy goes rooted deep into the culture and it stays for a long time. You see, long ago you had the medium of sculptures in temples. Then you had nataks, and you had these tolis that would go about talking the leelas of the god and these Puranic tales through the stories. And even the Guru Shishya Parampara, you had these stories being told from one generation to the another generation. But the times have changed, the medium has changed, and the expression has changed, yet the spirit has to remain, and that is what we're seeking to do.
But when was the time that we lost sight of our past, of our roots? When do you think that happened and why?
It's very difficult to point back because and it's very dangerous to blame at this point why and when it happened. But it cannot be denied that it did happen, where we did not have, let's say we had a drought of these Puranic gathayas and tales which were limited to television at most. We even had the entire section time of Amar Chitra Katha, which is not transformed to the new age. We've lived upon it and we've revered it, but I wish it had been done, but it's not been done. And it's difficult to say because there's many factors. There's the producer factor, there's the directorial factor, there's the economic factor, there's a status quo, there is a social factor. Because these mediums at the end of the day are the getaway hypnosis for the crowd. Like, why do people go to cinemas? Is it because they want to get away from the pain of the real life, perhaps, or are they going there for having a higher a higher experience. So as a director, I have to decide it, right? They can both be a prism of the director, right? And that is what we are striving to do with Mahavatar.
Hmm. You say that you say that you believe that they're part of our past.
Yes.
There is a section who says that it's all mythology, it's all fiction.
Yes.
So how do you respond to that?
Well, they can keep believing what they have to. You can keep denying your ancient roots, but the fact of the matter is, even archaeologically, it's been getting proven again and again. And we are not here for looking for validation, and we are not here to compete. For me, this is as true as my own self, innate self, my own soul, and my own history. It resonates with me. Why? Because these virtues is something that I strive by and live by in my life, and many people do so around the land of Bharat, and will continue to do so. That is what has made this civilization survive through so many, desperate injunctions that we have faced, reparations that we have faced as a culture. But it's time we have pride in it and we celebrate it, and that's what this is about.
Coming to this story of Mahavatar Narsimha,
Yeah.
it's such an interesting like underdog story also, and also because the villain so many powers, but also he has like immunity, a kind of an immunity that nobody can really surpass.
Yes, yes.
And so the odds are stacked against the hero. There are so many odds
Correct.
that he has to, there are so many hurdles that he has to cross.
True.
And it's a very creative form. The way, I mean, we all know the climax, how it ends up.
Yeah.
But the way he reaches there is so interesting.
Yeah,
and,
it's a very poetic justice, you can say, in many ways. But the point of the fact of the matter being that everybody, even on the planet today, likes to circumvent the system. And India ke andar to it's very common. You want to circumvent the system, doing this, that, finding new ways and techniques around. Ultimately, when the government thrashes you, why you've done wrong. So this is very coherent even in the systems of the universe from time immemorial. Right? From time immemorial, you know that ultimately the entire system will fall into balance. So no matter how much you technically want to, circumvent or bypass the system, dharma will take its own course and everything will come to balance. And dharma, of course, being represented by Lord Vishnu, which he takes the avatar of Lord Vishnu.
And even you spoke about balance.
Yeah.
And Hiranyakashipu is also a devotee.
Yeah.
He starts off as a devotee and he worships Lord Brahma.
Yeah.
But looks down upon Lord Vishnu.
Yeah.
But despite being, even we've seen it in Ramayana, that Ravan was a Shiva devotee, but he meets a certain fate because of his actions.
Yeah.
So it's not like that if you're a devotee, then you'll be protected from God.
Because being a devotee is a very big, does not filter you from not having a right moral compass. The understanding is that Ravana or Hiranyakashipu, although being very powerful beings, right, but their moral compass, their chitta or their conscience is not at place because they are ruled by ahamkar and ego, where they have greed, pride, lust, these kind of problems for which they are wanting the power. Like Hiranyakashipu has, obviously, apart from pride, lust, there is the sense of revenge. Right? He is like, you can look for an anti-hero thesis or something like that, because he feels victimized, he's been wronged. And that is why he's propitiating to Lord Brahma to give him those certain boons. But that doesn't make him a devotee, right? What makes Prahlad a devotee, however, that in spite of being a 5-year-old with no power, and him, Hiranyakashipu, almost having an eternal power, the boon is almost transferred, right? Yes. So that means there is something much bigger at play, at underplay, that we need to basically get an anchor on.
Yeah, you spoke about Prahlad, and I see him as almost like a co-protagonist of this
Yes,
movie.
definitely, yes.
Yeah. So how did you strike that balance between, because obviously if we're going to watch Mahavatar Narsimha, we want to see Narsimha.
Yeah.
But he comes a little later in the script.
Yeah.
So
that's climax, yes.
Yeah, in the climax. So how do you strike that balance between that the hero comes in the end and we keep waiting for him through Prahlad?
Oh, fantastic question. Basically, it's woven in the second act, majorly the second act in that way, because the story needs to carry forward right? But now the Bhakt Prahlad is the representation of that faith. You have to understand. He is undergoing all that. It is because Bhakt Prahlad is in the axiom at the center around this entire narration that's basically going on, for which Narsimha is basically appearing. Right? If you cut Bhakt Prahlad's bhakti or himself from the story, there is no Narsimha coming.
Yeah.
Right? It is the avahan or the invocation or the calling of Lord Narsimha or Lord Vishnu taking the form of Lord Narsimha is because Bhakt Prahlad is weaving the story.
Yeah.
Right? And it's also very poetic, like I said, is because although the boon is with Hiranyakashap, the one who's getting saved again and again is Bhakt.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And why did you think of this format? Like, why didn't you go for say, a live action adaptation?
That's because I've, we put almost so much at stake even for an animation feature.
Yeah.
Right? Both the producers and I, Shilpa and myself, we put so much at stake to make this project. Had it been a live action, I do not know what would have to be on stake on that, because it would be a much more expensive affair. That's one. But that being aside, the point being, the animation medium gives me the power to exaggerate. And because the kind of fantastical world that we're building and the creatures and the divine beings that we are showing cannot only be justified through animation.
Yeah. Do you also feel that it, because say if you're talking, there's the first introduction of Ramayana came out, so everyone's talking about that Ranbir is Ram and Yash is Ravan.
Yeah.
So the actor element also gets involved.
Yes.
Here it's only the story that's at focus.
True.
So do you think that's also
because
a
for
factor?
us our Narsingh Swami is the hero. That's number one. And B, I see there's a pro and con to everything, right? So from where I see it is we have in India, of course, from history, we have a habit of projecting the actor onto the god and god onto the actor, right? And that is something that is difficult to escape from. And since we are in a medium of animation, we kind of root away from that problem. So that is an advantage that we have.
Can you talk a little bit about the technique of animation used in this film? Because it's not like we've obviously seen mythology depicted in animation, even on TV. Like Chota Bheem was huge in India.
Yeah.
So, but how does this film take that technology several notches higher?
So basically, our idea is to break the stereotype that animation is for children or only cartoon. So that is certainly that segment that we are not targeting. We are targeting something much more serious, much more epic, much more bigger, like a cinematic world building than just a cartoon. That's the thing that we are breaking, and we are doing this also using not motion capture tools, but everything is handcrafted with love, with a labor of love. Everything is acted and enacted and impressioned by the animators, and using a lot of cinematic graphic tools, a lot of physics, a lot of effects. We are bringing out this story.
From your conversation with the producers, Hombale Films, what can we expect from the rest of the universe, from the rest of the avatars?
Hombale being the presenter in this film, and Shilpa and Kushal Desai and Chaitanya Desai being the producers, and Hombale really backing us up for the next 12 years, which is unprecedented. The idea is to create a long cinematic universal journey which is going to be transcending the mediums.
Okay.
Right, and it's not just going to transcend the mediums, but it's also going to transcend the user who's experiencing these. So we're going to do comics, we're going to do games, we obviously have the films, but we're going to do something more expansive also.
Right. And finally, since this film is about to release, what do you think it can do to the Gen Z viewers? Like, what do you think they can find redeeming or interesting in that story? Because they also need to be in touch with our roots.
True. So this will really, of course, instill a lot of faith in them, and a lot of them are going through depression, anxiety, etc. And it'll deprive them of these negative connotations, because they will really be appreciative of who they are and stand for on their faith, right? And have a pride of what they can be. And because if you believe in what this is, then you believe in your relationship with the divine. Once you find your relationship with the divine, you are stable in life, because there are harrows of life, and you go up and down and all those things happen. You can't take that away, right? But what truly matters is where you're anchored, and this film is going to help them do that.
That's great. Looking forward to it. Thank
Lovely
you so
speaking
much.
with you, and 25th July, please
Yes.
be there for Mahavatar Narsimha.
Yes.